What's up guys, Justin here with the CGEssentials.com. So in this video we're going to check out a bunch of new and updated add-ons for Blender that are available this week. Let's go ahead and just jump into it. All right, so a couple things to note on these add-ons. First off, most of them are going to be on sale through a part of the Blender Market Black Friday sale. You can check that out by visiting the CGEssentials.com/Black Friday if you'd want to check those out. So if you are interested in any of these add-ons, you can probably get them through a 30% discount through end of the day, November 27th. Note that a lot of these are also affiliate links, meaning if you do purchase through this link, I do receive a commission. I do also get some copies of add-ons to try out from the developers. All right, so first up, we've got Flora Paint, a brand new add-on from Casey Sheep designed to help you add stylized trees and plants to your models. So Flora Paint is basically a collection of stylized assets, as well as some different tools for Blender. So specifically, these are assets like trees and rocks and bushes that look kind of hand painted. So they're kind of stylized. They actually look really cool in Blender, but basically the way these work is you can bring them in and then you can do different customizations. You can randomize leaves, lots of different things in here for this tool. They are going to be adding geoscatter biomes soon, which is really exciting because those work really well with geoscatter. So just to give you an idea of how this looks, here's one of the example scenes that comes along with this model. So you can see how it gives you this really cool, like stylized forest look. So this add-on comes with a collection of different trees, plants, rocks, whatever you need to create this kind of like stylized forest, as well as some tools for scattering these assets as well. So if you're looking to create this kind of like stylized forest look, make sure you check out Flora Paint from Casey Sheep. So Physical Open Waters was just released. And so this is a brand new add-on from the same developer that brought us Physical Starlight and Atmosphere, as well as Physical Celestial Objects. And basically this is a tool designed to help you simulate the ocean in Blender. And so it's got a number of different presets built in, which I'll take a look at in a second, to help you simulate the way that the ocean actually creates waves in Blender. And so this is one that I've been super excited about. It's from the developer of Physical Starlight and Atmosphere. And what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to help you simulate the ocean right now. So it actually simulates like large open bodies of water, and it does it by adding a number of different presets. But so basically the way this tool works is you can add an ocean in here, and then you can select different options, and it's really fast. Like right now, for example, and I've got this turned down a little bit, you can kind of adjust the resolution in here, which is going to affect your performance. But basically the way this works is it comes with a number of different presets for different ocean settings in here. So you can see how this is giving me different ocean setups based on different settings that I select. And so not only can you pick things like this, you know, your small breeze, you got your storm gusts in here, but you can also scroll down and you can adjust this yourself. So you can go into your waves and you can adjust like the height of the largest waves, you can adjust the wind speed, other things like that, as well as the wave height, which is going to adjust the way that this looks. So you can use this in order to really quickly generate a procedural ocean in your scene just like this. What I would recommend right now while they work on getting the documentation done is I would recommend probably starting with these presets and using these as kind of a building block and then kind of adjusting this down below. But if you have been looking for something that kind of like simulates waves in the ocean, this definitely has a tool to do that. Now it does have like a very simple wake function down below. I've not really played around with that much. If you're looking for like detailed water simulation around objects, they don't really have that right now. But for just kind of adding this procedural ocean into your scene, this is actually a really cool tool. All right, so next up we've got a brand new tool from Antoine Bagatini, the developer of the free BagaPie add-on. This is called BagaStreet, and basically what it is it's a collection of tools that actually plug into the BagaPie tool, and you can use it to add things like bollards and other architectural street objects in Blender. So you will need to get BagaPie as well, which you can download for free. You can just download the free version of BagaPie, and then what you do is you bring this in, and this is going to come with a GeoPack that you just install through your asset browser. But this contains a number of different tools, all specifically themed around streets. So you've got like bollards, you've got highway dividers, you've got different trash cans and lights. So things that you can use in order to populate your streets. And then they just plug into BagaPi. And so basically what you do is once you bring this in using your asset browser, you can just tap the J key. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select the object that I want in my asset browser like this. Then I can tap J and I can draw a path like this. So say I drew a curve array like this one, it's going to add these objects along the array. And then you can come in here, for example, and this has some kind of like randomization in here that I don't want. So you can just adjust that, but notice how you can set this so that it's either in here by spacing or by count, and you can use this in order to quickly create arrays of objects and other things like that using BagaPi's tools. So if you do any kind of street modeling or anything like that, this might be a good asset library for you. All right, so currently #1 in the Blender market is Shaders Plus. And so Shaders Plus is a tool designed to help you do caustics and also like a thin film effect in Blender. This is one that kind of jumped up out of nowhere. I haven't had a chance to do a ton with it yet, but I did want to make sure I cover it. I always want to make sure I at least talk through like what the top things in the market are doing. So this is basically a shader pack that you bring into Blender, and it allows you to basically do real-time caustics as well as dispersion. So what it does is it gives you this caustics effect, which is basically the way that the light kind of bends through an object. This is a shader designed to do that. And so this is really a collection of shaders, and what you do is you bring them in and you apply them to objects as a material in your shader editor. So you actually do a file append, and you append the shaders into your current Blender file. As far as I know, it's currently not doing anything with the asset browser. You just have to append them directly. So you can get this kind of dispersion effect, which is supposed to give you a more realistic like prism effect with the way that light works. Again, I need to look into this one a little bit more, but if you don't like the effects that you're getting with glass materials or liquid materials, you might check out Shaders Plus. So I will link to this in the notes down below. Let me know if you're interested in me talking about this one more in the future. It definitely does seem really interesting to me, but it kind of came out of the blue and I haven't had a chance to do a ton with it yet. All right, so next up, we've got the new version of Fluid Painter. So this has been updated to work with Blender 4.0, and it's also been updated with an interesting new feature having to do with droplets. So Fluid Painter got an update that includes a drop system, allowing you to show just the drops in order to create like fluid type animations in Blender. So this was already really easy to create fluids themselves, but now you can create these animations by using the drop system. All right, so we've now got the option when we add a fluid to an object. And I'm gonna go ahead and pick the water drops animated just so you can see this really quickly. But if I add the fluid, and then I'm just going to draw it on this object right here, a couple different paths like this. So we're just gonna add some of these fluid paths in here like this, but then I'm going to tab out of edit mode. Notice how now we have the ability to actually set animations of these fluids in here. And you can select them and you can make adjustments over here on the side right here, right? So you can adjust things like the length of the drop, the size of the drop, other things like that in order to quickly add animated fluid in your scene. So this is also going to work with other fluids as well. So let's say that we were to add, we'll pick this oil. So if I add this fluid, right, I'm going to draw it on this object like this. And notice how by default, it's not really set to animate. But if you go into the settings, right, so if I scroll down, notice how I can use the drop move function in order to set the movement of these drops right here. So you could keyframe this or really do whatever you want with it. And so you can now use this to animate the movement of drops from your fluids inside of Blender. All right, so Realistic Touch Surface Imperfections is currently on sale as well. I talked about this a little bit earlier this week. I will link to the full tutorial in the notes below this video, but Realistic Touch is a brand new add-on from the guys over at B Production for adding surface imperfections to your shiny surfaces in Blender. And so Realistic Touch has a collection of over 200 assets for specifically creating surface imperfections in Blender. So these are high quality textures that you can apply to your objects to make them look either scuffed up or damaged, other things like that. I did a full video on this one this week, which I will link to in the notes down below, showing you exactly how to set it up. But if you do want to create surface imperfections, you should definitely check out Realistic Touch. All right, so Fluent just came out with version 3 of their stressless modeling tool. And so Fluent is a hard surface modeling tool specifically designed to let you do hard surface type things like creating shapes and then adding cuts and other things like that without having to do a whole bunch of additional work. It automates a lot of those processes specifically inside of the tool. All right, so version 3 comes with a number of different new functions, including the ability to add chamfers to edges and different bevels. All right, so one of the features he's added is you now have the ability to come in here and add a second bevel, meaning that you can bevel things separately. So if I tap the X key, for example, notice how I can set the bevel on the top. And so I can set the top, and then I can tap X in order to do a separate bevel for the bottom. So what that means is you're not just stuck with one bevel for the whole thing. And then when you validate this, notice how the shape has been created with those two different bevels. So he's also added a tool that makes it so you can animate the construction of objects based on the way that they've been drawn in Fluent. So what you do is you add all of your different parts and pieces like this, right? You model them in order or the order that you want the construction to happen, and then you can create an animation using this function. So you can jump over into your settings and you can click on the animation builder, and what that's going to do is that's going to create an animation. And so notice how what this does is now if you click play, it's going to animate the transitions of those objects being created directly inside of Blender. And so there's a number of other things that have been changed and added as well, like the slice cleaner, which helps clean up unnecessary internal faces that are created during slice cutting, a new setting for cloth panels, so you can use boundary edges as pin groups, and a number of other things like improvement of the chain tool and the duct design for wire, other things like that. And so if you've been using Fluent, I think this will be a welcome new addition. Let me know in the comments down below if you want me to get more in depth in this. This is a little bit more of a complex add-on, so it's hard to cover in a quick video like this. All right, so next up we have the Metalsoft edition from RBD Lab. So we've talked about RBD Lab in the past. Basically, it's a tool for simulating physics in Blender. And the cool thing about RBD Lab is it now gives you the ability to simulate multiple different kinds of physics, including like breaking and cracking things. So setting up things like stone walls breaking. But now they've added this Metalsoft module. And the Metalsoft module gives you the ability to simulate the deformation of metal. It's actually really cool, and it gives you the ability to do a lot of really interesting things, up to and including giving you the ability to add little bits of displacement. Like for example, when these spheres hit this piece of metal, it'll actually like do a little displacement where that actually happens. So I've already done a video on the channel talking about how to create this deformed plate, which I will link to in the notes down below, but look for more RBD Lab tutorials in the future. But if you want to take your physics game in Blender to the next level, this could definitely be a way to help you automate that process. All right, so Sanctus Library is a library of procedural and adjustable materials from Sanctus. This is currently on sale as a part of the Black Friday sale, and it is a massive collection of excellent materials and assets. And so I just continue talking about this add-on because Sanctus just keeps updating it. And so currently he's now got over 440 procedural materials. So remember, this is a procedural material library, and he just keeps adding materials and tools to this library. So he's got his newest release out right now. And it's already got like decal tools and other things like that, but in his new version, he's added some additional materials, including bubble wrap fabrics and tri-hex tiles, just a ton of different things. He's added some tech grid, as well as creating different fixes and working with his different geometry node tools. So he's just doing a really good job. He has a video where he talks a little bit more about his updates, but he just continues to add things to this add-on, and his materials just continue to look really great. So for example, this is the bubble wrap tool, and you can see how within that bubble wrap tool, he's got things like giving you the ability to adjust the displacement of the bubble wrap. But you can see how this material looks really awesome in the viewport, and obviously it is a little bit slower just because it's a more complex material, but he's just got a ton of new materials in here that do a bunch of different things, right? He's got like this shiny cloth material, or this is actually the thermal blanket material, apologies. But you've got the ability to adjust things like the scale, you can adjust the bump, other things like that. And you can see how it just looks really good in cycles, and it's 100% adjustable. So you've got the tech tiles, you've got some new tri-hex tiles, and remember with these, you've got the ability to do things like adjusting the corners of those materials, like this, as well as adjusting things like the size. So these are fully adjustable procedural materials in Blender that also come with the different bump maps. You can add dirt and other things like that as well, right? You can make this look clean, you can make it look dirty, just depending on what you want to do. So he's doing a great job continuing to add to his library of procedural materials. All right, so GeoFX is an add-on for Blender that allows you to basically add effects to your model using geometry nodes. And so this is a tool for creating and adding geometry node effects in your scene. All right, so first off, the guys over at Light Architect have a great YouTube channel talking about how they create different VFX inside of Blender. So if you're into that kind of thing, if you're into like compositing buildings into a scene and adding mist passes and explosions and adding birds and other things to your to what you're creating in Blender, you should definitely check out this channel. But this tool specifically is designed to add some geometry node systems that can work to create effects, right? So you've got some of the more simple ones like the ivy, the chains, and the vines, but then you've also got the ability to add ropes and lightning and fireworks and cobwebs. And so you can use this to quickly add things like ropes or other things like that. You can adjust the ropes, you can set if they're going to hang or not in order to create different effects in here. So you can add ropes and chains. And so you've also got the ability to draw things like cobwebs. So if I draw across this object like this, this is going to automatically fill in cobwebs across this area. And you can adjust things like the probability of cobwebs occurring as well as the scale and the radius. So in this case, right, I want these to have a much smaller radius, probably a much smaller scale in here as well. But you can use this in order to quickly create cobwebs across different objects, which is super interesting. Then you've also got the ability to add things like fireworks, which it says is still in beta, but basically what that's going to do is that's going to generate fireworks. It's going to shoot particles up, and then those particles are going to kind of explode in the background. So if you're looking for some quick effects that you can add to your scenes, you might check out GeoFX. All right, so Simply Cloth Pro has been updated to version 3. All right, so I have not had a chance to get too far into this one. I haven't done a bunch of character modeling, but Simply Cloth Pro version 3 is here. It's been updated, and it's added an interesting tool for extracting face sets from a character. And so I've not had a chance to test this out yet, but basically the way that it works is you can paint areas on your character or on your mesh, and then you can convert those face sets to cloth. So you can see here what he's doing is he's painting on this object, and he's going to use that face set in order to generate cloth on that character. And then you can make adjustments with the Simply Skin Tight to set how tight that is. You can add other things to the characters, other things like that. So this is one I need to dive into a little bit more, but you can see how he's able to use this in order to quickly generate clothes for this character. So thought I'd put that out there. If you have Simply Cloth Pro, the previous versions, you can now update to this one to get this. If you're looking for a tool for working with cloth in Blender, this tool definitely has a bunch of that functionality. So you can also check out the documentation on his page, it's going to teach you a lot more about how this is going to work, right? So the different layer systems, the automatic sewing, all those things that are built into Simply Cloth version 3. He's got a lot more documentation in here on how those are going to work, so I definitely recommend you check that out. All right, so remember that some of these are on sale as a part of the Blender Market Black Friday sale, or they will be in the next couple days. So make sure you go check that out. I will link to all of them in the notes down below. If there's anything you'd like to see more tutorials on, feel free to leave a comment down below and let me know. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks, guys.